Hello and welcome to watchandlearnphotoshop.com. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to very easily create a really cool planet in Photoshop. So we're going to go to File, create a new file, and our width will be 600, our height will be 600. There we go. Now first of all, let's create the space, let's create the background. For space, instead of black, I'm going to choose a dark blue color. Something that's pretty much almost black. Click OK, and then to fill your background with your foreground color, you simply hold on to Alt and hit backspace. There we go. Now we want to add some stars. So in order to do that, we can go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Now you can see that this isn't exactly what we want out of our stars, but you'll see a few steps down the road where this is going to take us. You want to bring your amount to around 15%. The higher you bring this, the more stars there are going to be. Let's go ahead and bring it up to about 18 actually. And we're going to choose Gaussian. If we choose uniform, they're all pretty much the same shade of purple or white or whatever color is going to show up here. But if we choose Gaussian, we see different sizes and different tints of the same color. And we need to make sure that monochromatic is checked as well. If it's not checked, there'll be way too many colors in there. And then click on OK. Now, like I said, this isn't really what we're going for. What we want to do at this point is we want to make another copy of this background layer. So we're going to drag that down to the new layer icon. And then we're going to change the layer mode of this copy, this layer that's on top. We're going to change that layer mode to overlay. And right away you see that looks a lot better. And if you still think that that's too many stars, or that the sizes are not different enough, we can go ahead and combine these two layers by hitting Control E. We'll merge those two layers together, and then making another copy of that layer, and then doing the same thing, changing the layer mode of this top layer to overlay once again. And that will make the brighter stars stand out even more, and that looks pretty good. So we're going to hit Control E once again to join those two layers, and now we can get started with our planet. So with our planet, we're going to create a new layer using the new layer icon, and choose our circular marquee tool. I'm going to draw a circle on the stage starting from the center. If you want to start from the center, then you need to hold on to Alt as you drag it out, and then hold on to Shift as well to keep it as a perfect circle. There we go. Now we can move this over to the center of the stage, and then make sure you have that new empty layer selected. And now you need to decide what color you want your planet to be. If we want this to be, say, a greenish planet, we need to choose a greenish color for our foreground. I'm going to choose a dark, kind of earthy green. We'll get down here towards the yellows a little bit, and choose one of these darker greens, and click on OK. And then for your background, we'll click to choose the background color. And using the eyedropper tool, we're going to select the foreground color, except we're going to change it to a brighter shade of the same color, like so. So we have two different shades of green for our foreground and background color. And now we're going to fill in this circle with some clouds. So with that selection still in place, we're going to go to Filter, Render, and Clouds. There we go, that looks good. Okay, now we want to bring out some of the colors in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. And you want to play with the settings here in this Unsharp Mask until we get the effect we're going for. For this effect, we're going to keep our threshold pretty low, otherwise the colors are going to stay too close together. So we're going to keep our threshold all the way down to 0. Make some colors stand out there. And then you just want to play with your radius and your amount until you get kind of the effect you're looking for. And that looks pretty good, so I'm going to stick with that. My amount is 500%, my radius is almost 40 pixels. And I'm going to click on OK. That looks pretty good. Now, to give this a little bit more randomness, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another copy of this same layer by dragging that layer to the new layer icon. I'm going to go ahead and deselect this circle, so we're going to hit Control D to do that. Okay, and with this new layer copy selected, we're just going to rotate this 90 degrees. So we'll go to Edit, Transform, rotate 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise, whichever way, it doesn't matter. Okay, now that that's rotated, we're going to change the layer mode to overlay. Change that from normal to overlay, and that kind of blends in with the layer underneath it, and it kind of adds a lot to it. It accidentally switched to linear dodge. We need to put that back on overlay. There we go. And so that gives it a really cool effect. Now we can join these two layers together. So with this top layer selected, I'm going to hit Control E to merge that down with the layer below it. Okay, now we need to give this a sense of depth. And there's two things we're going to do to give it a sense of depth. First, we're going to spherize this to make it look more like a sphere, and then we're going to add some lighting effects to it. To spherize this, first of all, we need to make the selection of the circle again. So holding on to Control, I'm going to click down here on this thumbnail icon to reselect that circle. And you'll see there's our selection around the circle. Now we're going to spherize the circle. So make sure that that layer is selected. Go to Filter, Distort, and Spherize. And you'll see a little grid over here on the right showing you how much it's being spherized. So we're going to bring that all the way up to 100%. And click on OK. And there we go. And that's not quite enough. We want to spherize that a little bit more, so we're going to run the same filter again, but not bring it out quite as much. So we'll go to Filter, Distort, Spherize. This time we'll just do it about half as much. We'll bring that down to about 50% and click on OK. And there we go. That's looking really good. Okay, now like I said before, we're going to add a lighting effect to this. I'm going to hit Control D once again to deselect everything. And then with this layer 1 selected, we're going to go to Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. And by default, you'll have the spotlight that you can move around, you can rotate it, change the direction of it. What we want to do is have this shining from the top left, and we're going to move the center of this up a little bit. And we want basically the bottom right section of our planet to be kind of darkened, bringing the sides a little bit too. And then just play with that till you get something that looks good. And click on OK. There we go. That gives it a really full, deep look to it. So that looks really good. Well, we could stop here, but let's give it a little bit of a glow to make it stand out a little bit more against the background. So we're going to go to Layer 1 here. I'm going to choose Layer, Layer Style, Outer Glow. And the default color for this outer glow actually works really well, this soft yellow color. So we're going to use that color. We're going to bring the size up, like so, and then we're going to bring the opacity down to get a little more transparent. So we'll bring this opacity down to about 50%, and that looks good. Now we want to give it a little bit of an inner glow as well. Make it look a little more dynamic, so click on Inner Glow. Again, we're going to use that same default color. We're just going to bring the size up a little bit to about 40 pixels. That looks good. And then bring the opacity down until you get the effect that you want, and click on OK. And there is a planet created in just a few simple steps in Photoshop. Very cool. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something from it. And we'll see you in the next one.